everyone, and welcome back to this week's episode of Our Golden 20s. Yay.
Hello. I was going to be like, hello. I don't know why that urge came over me. I've never done that before.
I liked it. I think it was good. I say we do that every week now.
Okay.
Yeah.
New traditions are being born.
Yeah. This week we are gonna start with some Tuesday tips, because you guys know we love our segments. These tips, hot off the press. Do you want to share your tip with the listeners, Sadie?
Absolutely. First of all, I feel like we're both just in like a super hyper mood right now, and I have no idea how this episode's gonna go. So, hello, listeners. Let's see how this goes. Cut out the hello, listeners. Cut out all of it, heck. Okay, guys, so my tip for this Tuesday. So, as I'm sure you guys saw on our Instagram, first of all, April was Earth Month, and then Earth Day was happening at the end of April. And on Earth Day, on our Instagram, we posted about some biodegradable products, like household products that I use and I would recommend to everybody. So I wanted to talk about this one product in particular that I've been using the past few weeks now. And I just used it today. So I was like, okay, perfect. It's right in my head, ready to talk about this on the podcast today. But they are laundry detergent eco strips. And it's from the brand True Earth. So it's TRU Earth. And they are really amazing. They're literally just like little laundry detergent strips, like exactly what I said, rather than like the liquid soap. And for me, why it's so great, first of all, they are biodegradable. So, definitely much nicer to our planet when we're doing laundry, especially if you do like multiple loads of laundry. I don't think this will surprise anybody, but I'm the type of person who refuses to wash my darks with my whites. Like, I'm like, nope, I minimum have 2 loads of laundry every time because it needs to be separated. So I do quite a bit of laundry. But anyways, people are like, why do I listen to this podcast? I feel our Tuesday tips are always like kind of granny hacks. But these really do the job despite being like, biodegradable. I feel like biodegradable products, sometimes people don't find they work as good as like non-biodegradable stuff, but this stuff works really well. It smells really great. I find it's like a very small strip that you use for like, my loads are usually like pretty full. So one strip in, done, and it's super easy. What I was going to say before was the best part about this for me is I live on the 3rd floor and my laundry machines are in the basement of my building. So this is just so easy. I literally just like tuck it in my laundry basket and it doesn't add like any weight, doesn't add any bulk, and I can just carry it down all the flights of stairs to the laundry machines. And I just love them. So I wanted to put them on your guys' radar as well.
Love that. I like how you said these were granny tips, because I feel like my tip is like frat boy tip. But
okay, good.
Yeah, the duality of Sadie and I. We're either like acting like grannies or acting like frat boys.
Actually I was going to say I feel like I'm typically the granny, but we both have our moments for sure.
Definitely.
Yeah.
So my
okay, tell us your tip.
My Tuesday tip is I am literally obsessed with Big Booty Mixes on Spotify. So for those who don't know, they're hour-long mixes done by 2 like professional DJs who aren't DJing right now because of COVID. So they've just started doing these hour-long mixes and putting them on Spotify. And they get me so hyped up. Like, they're perfect if you want to work out for an hour, because it's like no skips. I put them on, say, like it's 4 p.m. and I feel like the workday's dragging. I'm like, big booty mix time, let's go. And then the day just flies by. Like, they are so much fun. I'm obsessed with them. There are 18 of them and they're all an hour long.
Oh my god.
So like, if you just wanted to listen to Big Booty Mixes every waking hour of the day, you definitely could.
You can. Yeah, the content is there.
Yeah. So that's my tip.
Wow.
Check them out.
I love it.
Yeah.
I feel like that's perfect like hype up playlist for like you said, working out.
Mhm.
Could be for your hot girl walks. It
Yeah.
could be for like a little pre-drink on a Friday night, even if you're just alone in your apartment drinking wine, just
Mhm.
like big booty mix on in the background. Yes, love that.
Yeah, so
Definitely need
good.
to check it out.
Yeah, I'll add my favorite to our Spotify playlist of like things we mentioned in the podcast. I'll put one on there. And then
Perfect.
you'll just be
Yeah.
like flip-flopping from like a sad Lord song straight into Big Booty Mix.
That right there perfectly sums us up.
Yeah,
Yes.
exactly. No, I was like, that playlist is a disaster. And I was like, but it's accurate.
Tag, I like to think of us as well-rounded people.
Mhm.
Okay, that's what we are here.
Yeah, definitely.
Not a disaster. Well-rounded people.
Yeah, we're diverse. We have diverse interests.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So those
Oh,
are your
man.
tips.
Yeah.
I hope you learned a lot.
Yeah. Oh man. Okay. Well, anyway, what we want to talk to you guys about today is something that is going to be fun, I think, to talk about, but also maybe like Tegan's probably like still stressed about this a little bit as it's still ongoing, but we are going to talk about all things wedding and Tegan's wedding, wedding planning in COVID, all the things. So let's do it, Teg.
Yeah. So the first thing I kind of wanted to talk about right off the hop, and I feel like this will be kind of relatable for all listeners, whether you're like, maybe you're like not even dating, so marriage is like not even on your radar, but I feel like your engagement should never be a surprise. Like how it's asked can be a surprise, but the concept of someone asking you to marry them, that should be something that is like heavily discussed before it happens.
Yeah.
Because it's like, I've talked about this before, but to me, getting married is like a huge decision. Like, am I going to buy this house? Am I going to accept this job offer? Like, it shapes a lot of your life. And as much as it's nice to be like, we got married because we were in love, there are also like a ton of additional reasons that can come from being married. So, like for me personally, our taxes we wanted to do together. Obviously, being married makes that happen. Like, what if I was in the hospital and I wanted Tyrell to come and see me? Now he's like my husband, my first contact, like what if I die? And it's like, who's next in line? Well, that would be my parents. So, it's like all of these real world things that aren't that like fun to talk about. Those are actual things that get changed when you get married. And so those are the things that need to be discussed, basically.
Totally. And I think like what you said about the whole like kind of finances side of things is like so true. And obviously coming at this from like the single person lens into this conversation, I can definitely get behind both those things you said. The first one obviously just being like doing taxes or if you guys ever want to buy a house together. Like I think that's a goal for a lot of like younger people, but it's only really feels achievable if there's two incomes going towards saving for a down payment, and like two incomes to get a mortgage, especially if you're looking in the city. So I think if you're in a relationship or if you're not and you're looking for a relationship, like making sure your guys' long-term goals are aligned. And if they are, then yeah, maybe marriage is going to help you achieve those goals, and that makes a lot of sense. And also, you have a benefit plan at work. I don't know what part of my benefits this is part of, but I've always had a list like, oh, I'm going to get this all messed up because I don't know anything about this. But it's like you're saying, like it's basically, I want to say the word beneficiary, but I don't know if that's the right word. But it's basically like if I were to die or if something were to happen to me, I need to list somebody like in my benefits plans. For where I currently work, it's for like stock information. So, like somebody's then in charge of my finances and they know who to contact to like sort all that out. And like you said, since I'm a single person, it's like, okay, I guess that's my parents. I guess it's like maybe one of my sisters, but which one?
Yeah.
And it's just
Yeah.
like, it just gets weird and awkward where it's more like, if it's just like, it's my husband, like it's black and white, and it just makes things a lot easier for sure.
Yeah, definitely. And even like your benefits at work, stuff like that. Plus you feel like a lot cooler when you say like, this is my husband. Like once Tyrell and I were on a plane and we had like our tickets were separated from each other. And he, I think this was when we were engaged. I don't think we were married yet, but he went up to the person beside him and he was like, "Excuse me, could my wife sit beside me?" And he was like, "Yes, absolutely." Where I feel like if he was like, "Excuse me, can my girlfriend sit beside me?" He would have been like, "No, what is wrong with you?"
No, get lost, buddy. Yeah.
So that's a perk.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I love that. Like, I love that it was something you guys had talked about. It was a thought out decision. And I think that's great advice, especially for people who, I think you mentioned this on a past episode, where people who are in long-term relationships or like in committed relationships and they're seeing their other friends getting engaged and they're like jealous about it. It's like you said, you don't really know all the conversations or all the reasons why people are getting engaged and married. And rather than just being jealous about it, like see if it makes sense for your life and like actually evaluate if you're having those conversations with your partner. I think that when you said that, I was like, yes.
Yeah, like if it's something that's important to you,
totally,
you should verbalize it. Because maybe it's not important to your partner at all. And until you put it on their radar, they might be like, "Oh, I wasn't even thinking about that." But yeah, I remember like coming home because maybe I can tell our engagement story. But so Tyrell and I, we went on a vacation to Palm Springs in January. And when we were there, our family friends who were also there were like, "So when you gonna propose?" And he was like, I don't know. I hadn't really thought about it that much. And so after that, he was like, "You know what? I am going to do that." And one of his his best friend at work was also like, "I'm going to propose to my girlfriend too." So then they became like buddies and like they would go to like the diamond seller place together and like would come up with plans and stuff. So anyways,
I love that so much.
I know we had Sadie in on it for a moment where she was supposed to find out my ring size. So
yeah, it was like right after your Palm Springs trip.
Yeah.
He texted me because we were gonna hang out for a day and we just like walked around Yorkville and we were gonna just like have a really nice girls' day. And he texted me that morning being like, "Hey, I know you're hanging out with Teagan today. Can you try and get her ring size?" And I was like, first of all, does that mean you're going to propose to her? And second of all, that's not just something girls just like chat about. Like, I mean, sometimes it is, but yeah, that was very hard. And I failed that mission because I didn't want to say anything where you were like, knew what I was trying to do. So I was like talking about Missouri and jewelry. And then I was like, okay, I'm just going to ruin this if I flat out ask you. So sorry, Tyrell, do something different. You can't count on me here.
Yeah. Yeah, you had apparently texted him like, "Sorry, Teagan wasn't that chatty today." And he was like, "So I heard you were a bitch to Sadie today." And I was like, "No, we had like a fine time. What are you talking about?" But as we were walking around, I thought about telling you, I think Tyrell's going to propose. But then I thought if he didn't, how embarrassing that would be if I was like, "I think Tyrell's going to propose," and then it just like didn't. And you'd be like, "Girl, are you okay?" So I was like, I'm not going to say anything.
Yeah, that's so funny. We both definitely had it on like our minds, but didn't want to say anything. The other thing too is if you did say something, I don't know what I would have done because I would have been like, "Oh my God, he is." But I can't lie. Like I would just laugh probably. And you'd be like, "Okay, so you know something." Like,
yeah. No, I remember right before we went on our trip to Hawaii, which is when Tyrell proposed, we all went for dinner, like you, me, Tyrell. And we were sitting and just chatting. And I remember talking about one of my friends' weddings. And as soon as I said like, "Oh, remember when so-and-so got married?" Both you and Tyrell went like bright red, super wide-eyed. And I was like, he's going to propose. And you were both just like, "Oh, yeah." So anyways, like, I was like, okay,
Oh,
something
man.
sus is happening.
Okay, but guys, like anytime we talk about you and Tyrell Tegan, I just need to take a minute to just tell you how much I love your guys' relationship and the fact.
Oh, thank
The
you.
fact that I was like in on it, you know, I knew you were gonna like get proposed to before it actually happened. Like the fact we would just go for dinner when the world was open and we could go for dinner. Like,
Yeah.
oh, I just love you guys so much. And I feel like it's like, you know, the Spice Girl song, if you want to be my lover, you got to get with my friends. Like, heck yeah. Tyrell got with the friends, and that's how you know he's a keeper.
Yeah. No, he says he's your best friend more than I am.
Yeah.
Which is rude.
Well, I mean, I'm pretty sure Tyrell's my best friend too, so.
Yeah.
It's just because we're very similar, you know?
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, man.
No, yeah. You were the first person I texted. Like, my family was on vacation with us, so I was like, guys, look. But then I texted you a picture with, like, I don't even think I put words. I just sent the picture because I was like, Sadie knew 1,000%.
Yeah, and I was just, like, waiting for it. I was, like, Googling what's the time difference between here and Hawaii because I need to, like, be awake when Tegan's awake, like, the whole trip.
Yeah.
Oh, man. Yeah, that's so awesome.
It was a good day.
Yeah, and it's so magical you got engaged in Hawaii. Like, you know, just a place that's so, like, special to you and your family, you know, getting to share that with Tyrell and then just having it be part of, this is so cheesy, but having it be part of your guys' love story. Oh, I just love it so much.
He said that he proposed in Hawaii so that if we got divorced, it would ruin my favorite place.
Okay, savage. Yeah,
a little sassy, but okay. The day we got engaged, I'll just like tell the whole little story.
Yes,
I feel
please.
like I haven't told it in forever. When we first got engaged, I remember going to work and one of my coworkers, someone asked me like, oh my God, how did it happen? And one of my coworkers was like, oh, we're doing this again. And I was like, yeah. Imagine what my life is like. If you're annoyed, you've heard it twice.
Well,
I was like, I've told this story a million times.
I hope that person's a listener of our podcast because here we go again.
Tell
it again, Tag.
I doubt it. But yeah, so basically we flew to Hawaii, got there at night. The very next morning, Hawaii has like a crazy time difference. I think it's 6 hours behind us. So we were sleeping in until noon our time and getting up at 6 a.m. in Hawaii.
Right.
So this was all happening super early in the morning there, but like midday for Toronto people. So we woke up and it was during the hockey playoffs. So my parents and my brothers were watching, and Tyrell's not very into hockey. So I was like, why don't the two of us, we can just go down to the beach because, you know, he'd never been to Hawaii before. And he was like, yeah, that sounds great. Because then it's like the first day, the two of us alone on the beach. Heck yeah. So we go down to our room. He has the ring in the safe. So he had to bring the ring like through airport security. He did all this research. They said to put it in his carry-on. And then he was like, made sure I wasn't by him when it went through like the x-ray machine and stuff. And they pulled the stuff out of his bag, but they didn't pull that out, probably because they could like see it.
That's so stressful.
And I know. And he's like, if I lose this ring, like it's like the most expensive thing he's ever bought. And so he like, as soon as we got to the hotel, he was like obsessed with the safe. He was like, everyone give me your passport so I can put them in the safe. But it was like on brand for Tyrell. So no one was questioning that. But so he gets the ring out of the safe and he's just wearing these like little this little bathing suit. And he puts the ring in the box in his pocket, but it's like a huge bulge, so he has to keep his hands in his pocket so no one sees that's like so clearly a ring box. And so as we get to the door, my brothers show up and they're like, oh, we decided we're all gonna go to the beach, so just give us half an hour. So now we're sitting there waiting. Tyrell can't take his hands out of his pockets. And we're waiting and we're waiting. And then finally everyone's ready to go to the beach. We get down there. And as soon as we put our stuff down, Tyrell's like, I don't think I want to swim yet. I want to go for a walk. And as soon as he said that, I was like, Tyrell's going to propose to me. Because you don't just say that. First time you're at Waikiki, you're not like, F the ocean. Let's walk around. So then it was like, oh my God. And then I like couldn't talk or anything.
Yeah.
And then he wasn't talking either. So we just walked in silence. And then he said, I don't remember a bunch of what he said because I think I like blacked out. Yeah. But he said, I definitely remember, I want to take our relationship to the next level and make it official. And I said, we are official. And then he was like, rolled his eyes or something. And then we were standing out in the ocean, and I don't think he realized how crazy the waves are, because he hadn't like swam in the ocean before. So we were standing out there, and he was getting ready to go down on one knee, but then the waves were so huge. They were like up to our like necks sometimes.
Oh my gosh.
So he was like couldn't get down on one knee. So he just like had to take out the ring, and it was in like a Tiffany blue box. It was very cute.
Oh my goodness.
And everyone like around us was looking, but they like couldn't tell if it was a proposal because he was just standing up. But yeah.
Wow.
And then I said yes, and we walked back, and then the sand was so hot on our feet we literally had to sprint back to my family. And my brother Duncan knew, because Tyrell had asked him to maybe take pictures, but then he changed his mind because he wanted it to just be the two of us. But as soon as we walked up, Duncan was like, "Oh, get out of the water, everyone." And yeah,
man,
we were engaged.
I love it. I love how like not filtered that was. You're like, guys, just spitting facts over here. This is how it went. But I love it.
And it was, I remember it was Raptors versus Philly.
Ooh.
Game 7. The Kawhi dagger shot. Because we left at like halftime in that game to FaceTime Tyrell's grandma. And then we came back, and I was just like, perfection. Come on.
And I don't know if this is a good time to bring it up, but you guys still need your Toronto tattoos, Tag.
I know. We were just talking about that. Tyrell made a bet that if the Raptors won, and this was when the Raptors, no one thought they were going to win, that he would get a tattoo of Kawhi Leonard. I think he's changed that, and he said, I'll just get a Raptors tattoo because now we're anti-Kawhi.
Of course. Yeah. Because, and I just love that because it's like you said, just such a like, even though you were in Toronto at that exact moment, you know, actually, you were here when they won the championship or whatever. But even still, that shot was iconic on the day you got engaged. And it was the year that you got engaged. Plus, the Raptors won the NBA championships. Like, yes.
Yeah.
Needs to be.
So, perfect.
Needs a tattoo. People are listening like, what? How did we get here?
Yeah, these people are crazed. Yeah, this is just our life. I asked Tyrell, were you more stressed about the proposal or the Raptors playing Philly? And he was like, well, I knew you'd say yes to the proposal. I did not know that the Raptors would beat Philly.
Love it.
So that,
Yeah, but
I was like, okay.
Yeah, and like, let's just talk about too, like, how much coordination it takes on the guy's part. Like, I feel like girls don't really think about that. They're more just like, I want a ring. Like, this is what I want. And it's like, okay, but like you said, like, Tyrell planned this out months ahead of time. Like, January was when he started seriously thinking about it. Your trip was in May. And then he had to order this ring. I'm so glad he had, like, a friend to, like, do all that with.
Yeah,
like,
do it with.
I feel not a lot of guys do. Maybe they do. I don't know. But that's so great. And then also the fact you got engaged in Hawaii and, like, he had to get this ring there. Oh, like, that's so stressful.
Yeah, it's crazy. Especially, like, I feel like there's so much about like, what if he picks an ugly ring and blah, blah, blah. Like, there's so much pressure. And a lot of rings, especially diamond rings, are so, so, so expensive.
Yeah.
Like, it's insane. Like, my wedding dress is one of the most expensive things I've ever bought. Like, it's like the same price that my computer is that I use every single day. Yeah. And it's like 1/6 of the price of the ring or something crazy. So that's why it's like, no one should be surprised that this is happening.
Yeah, 100%.
If you're forking out that dough.
Yeah. Wow. Okay, so that is the beginning of Tegan's wedding stories. I think, Tag, what happened after you were engaged? Like, walk people through when you started wedding planning. How did you start? All of this was obviously before COVID was a thing. So we obviously had to make some changes, but how did you get started with the wedding planning?
Yeah, I will say, for anyone who gets engaged, be prepared. The first day you get engaged, everyone's going to ask you, so when's the wedding? And you'll be
That's
like,
so weird.
girl, it's been 2 hours. I don't know. I literally got
Yeah.
asked probably 3 or 4 times, when's the wedding? And I was like, you can't just decide that. Like, you pick a venue first
Yeah.
and then you pick your date. But
Yeah.
yeah, people wanted to know. And so if you get engaged, be prepared for that. But yeah, we basically, well, we were on vacation, so it was a little different. Some people on vacation were like, well, we can set it up this week. We'll get married on the beach. We're like, no, it's okay. But yeah, so we enjoyed our trip. But then I remember, like, on the plane back, I bought all these wedding magazines, which was my first clue how ridiculous the wedding industry is, because they were like $20.
Mm-hmm.
I was used to magazines being like 12, but
Yeah.
no, because these are fancy.
Yeah.
And so I was like, wow, weddings are expensive. So I got the Knot magazine because I feel like it's a little like younger demographic. And it actually, in every single edition, comes with a checklist of like, okay, so you're engaged. What next? So like, as we were sitting at the airport, I was reading it aloud. And I remember like my brothers being like, you don't need half that crap. We'll do it. And I was like, no, it's okay. But we talked about our dates. We had said we wanted to maybe get married in 2021. But then my mom wanted it to be sooner. And so she offered to pay for a big chunk of the wedding if we would push it up. And we were like, heck yeah.
Yeah.
That sounds amazing.
Yeah.
Thank you, of course. And so we pushed it up to 2020, still unsure of the date. We liked the idea of fall. And then we figured out who we wanted to be in our like bridal party and our groom's party. We had kind of figured it out before we left Hawaii because I bought my bridesmaids gifts in Hawaii. Tyrell was like, you need gifts for them? And I was like, yes, you fool. So yeah, once you get them on board, then it's like, there are like so many resources now. Like I feel like back in the day, it would be a much bigger ordeal planning a wedding because it's like, how do you even know?
Yeah.
Whereas now there's like Wedding Wire and The Knot, and they literally come with like a checklist and a budget maker and a guest list maker.
Yeah.
And they tell you exactly how to do everything. So then past that point, it's just like time.
Yeah. And I think that's awesome. I didn't realize those magazines came with those sorts of resources. Like, that's pretty cool. And I know well, first of all, even like Pinterest, like you can just search Pinterest, obviously for like decor and like, you know, the whole look and feel of your actual wedding ceremony and reception and whatnot, but also for infographics, you know, as to what you need to do and when. You can find all that stuff there.
Yeah, I already had a lot of stuff on my Pinterest too.
Yeah.
Like before I went on the trip, I had like the top 10 things you need to do once you get engaged and that kind of stuff already pinned.
Yeah.
So I knew and I was ready.
Yeah. Do you find, like, were your brothers right? Did you find a lot of the things on those checklist type things weren't totally necessary? Okay, I was also just going to say that I feel like you're saying back then when there weren't, this is going to come out so dumb now, but back then when there weren't all those resources and there wasn't Pinterest, like I feel like that's why things were so standard, was because, you know, like there wasn't Pinterest to like dream outside the box kind of thing. So every wedding just kind of looked the same and all the traditions were pretty much the same, where now it's like there's so many options and your wedding can be literally whatever you want. And obviously there's still a lot of traditional weddings, you know, that have to be, you know, take place in a church and have to, you know, follow this certain guest list and whatever else. But now it's kind of a lot more like freeing and your wedding can be whatever the heck you want. So I can imagine it's exciting, but also like super overwhelming. So yeah. Tag, did you find though, like those checklists and whatnot were helpful, or did you find them just, like you said, like this industry just hyping things up and like stressing you out and trying to take advantage of you?
Yeah, I feel like one of my friends who was married before me, she said like never go to wedding shows because all they are people trying to prey on indecisive people.
Yeah.
And so I feel like with the entire industry, if you like something and that's what you want, then do that. And don't let, like, if we're not doing like the garter toss or the bouquet toss because I think that's weird. So it's like, okay, no biggie, then don't do it because it's your day. And like, who cares, really?
Yeah.
Like, obviously, there are some things, like Sadie was saying, maybe you have to get married in a church. That's, that's just part of it. And then you build around that. But for the most part, you can kind of do whatever you want, especially now. Like, even my mom, when we were dress shopping, she was like, I wish they had dresses like this when I was getting married.
Yeah.
Because I was going for like a very like boho kind of style. And she was like, I would have loved to have a dress like this. But it just wasn't a thing back then. Whereas now, any dress you want, like any color,
Yeah.
you can find somewhere.
Totally.
Which is nice.
Not to put you on the spot or anything, but do you remember some of those like key milestones? I'm sure like if people are engaged right now listening, they are already like aware of this, but for people who just want to like live through your story or dream of someday, like how far in advance did you have to like buy a dress, or how far in advance did you have to book a venue, all that kind of stuff?
Yeah, so outside of outfits, I was kind of told that as far in advance as possible is what you should be booking everything.
Yeah.
So the first thing you do is book your venue, because you might have a date in mind and then you find your perfect venue and they're like, we do not have that date available. So before you decide anything, you decide your venue, and then they will tell you what dates they have available. And then you kind of pick your date from there. So that's what happened. We were planning to get married on Thanksgiving Saturday, because it was October 10th, 2020. So 10/10/2020, which seemed like a strong number. And our favorite band did their like last ever concert on Thanksgiving. So we thought that was cool too. And so our venue had that day open. That was the only day for the room that we wanted, the only day they had available for the entire fall by the point we looked, which was, I want to say 15 months in advance.
Wow.
And yeah, it's severe out there. And with COVID, it's so much worse, because now it's 2 and 3 years worth of weddings trying to squish into the next year.
Yeah.
So literally, like, as soon as you decide, you have to know what your budget is. I guess that's what I should say first and foremost, because like you can find any venue at any point if you're willing to pay $1 million. So we had originally wanted to get married in Toronto, but the venues were just insane.
Yeah.
Like the price for our venue, we are getting married in my hometown. The price of our venue there for open bar, food, hotels, parking, servers, linens, like everything, it's all inclusive, it comes with a wedding planner, was the price of just reserving the venue at some of the places I looked in Toronto, not including food, drink, parking, hotels, anything.
And the craziest part is the venue you did end up booking is super, super nice. Like, it's like one of the nicest places outside the city, where for that same price you'd get like the worst place in the city. You know what I mean? Like, it's just so crazy.
Yeah, exactly. And it's nuts. And you can kind of like whatever budget you want to do. So for those who don't like know me personally, Tyrell and I still got married in October 2020, just in my parents' backyard with a really, really limited guest list. We only had 35 people, which I think is what the legal amount was allowed in Ontario at the time. And that wedding only cost us, I think, $3,000. So it's like, it doesn't have to be this huge grant. Like, if you only want to spend, $1,000, then that's totally fine. It's your wedding's kind of what you make it. You just have to be sure of yourself, because people are trying to take advantage. And I love the tip where if you're trying to decide if you should buy something for your wedding and you're unsure, think about if you would have it in your house. And if you wouldn't have it in your house every single day, you shouldn't spend the money on it for your wedding.
Interesting.
Because things are expensive and your wedding pictures are going to be in your house every single day.
Yeah.
So.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think also there's been, not just because of COVID, but even before that, like micro weddings is becoming a big thing.
Mm-hmm.
Like you said, like just 20 people, or like very small, intimate ceremony. And then even in like little tiny venues that aren't actually wedding venues, but they're just, like
Yeah.
party venues or whatever. I think that's becoming a big thing. And like you said, they're marketed for like weddings under $5,000. Like you don't need to
Mm-hmm.
have a huge budget to have like a beautiful wedding. So yeah, I love that. And I think if you want that beautiful wedding, then like you said, like actually I don't know if you really did mention this, but the whole 2021 vision was because you knew that's how much time you needed to save up for the type of wedding you
Yeah.
wanted. But the fact
Mm-hmm.
that your parents were chipping in allowed you to bump it up by a year. So I think that too
Mm-hmm.
is like super practical. And I think a lot of people want to get married, but they don't realize how expensive weddings are. So
Yeah.
yeah.
It's insane. And yeah, like when we first got engaged, we talked about what are the things we want to see at our wedding. And we had said, like, we want to have an open bar. We want everyone, like, dancing all night. Like, we want it to just feel like a huge party. Like, the ceremony could be 5 minutes long.
Mm-hmm.
And so that was part of our decision to postpone we postponed our reception, basically, was because even if we went forward, like dancing wasn't allowed, it wasn't going to look like how we wanted it to look, and the things that we valued wouldn't be there.
Totally. Yeah.
And so I think if you're someone who is trying to think about whether you should be postponing your wedding or not, or anything really, who knows, you have to think about what are the things that you value, and if COVID's taking that away, then postpone 100%.
Totally. So for people who don't know you, Tag, and even maybe people who do know you but haven't heard you talk about your wedding, like, do you want to walk us through what that wedding in your backyard did look like? The wedding that did take place on October 10th, 2020?
Yeah, sure. So basically, June 3rd, 2020, my birthday, I decided to postpone because we were like, I don't think this thing's going to be gone by October. And we were right.
This thing being COVID.
So,
Yeah.
yeah. And so the first thing I did was I reached out to my venue because they have our biggest deposit.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, we need to postpone. What's the deal? And at that point, they had one Saturday left for all of autumn. And so we were like, okay.
For all of
who
autumn
cares about
2021.
Yeah.
Like for the
so
next
we were
year.
like,
yeah.
Who cares about the other vendors? We're just going to say yes. Because she was like, I need to have a confirmation in the next hour or else it's going to the next bride on the list.
My
And
goodness.
so I was like, yeah, confirm it.
Cutthroat.
So it's a severe business. It's funny because it's like the nicest ladies who work in the wedding business, but they are no nonsense.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, it's intense. And so basically from there, then we had to email all of our other vendors. The only one who couldn't do the new date was our DJ, and he was nice enough to give us back our deposit.
That's good.
Which,
yeah.
like, he didn't have to do, but he was like, I don't want to be a shitty person. So he sent us back our deposit. We found a new DJ who was double the price, which is a bummer, and then we kind of just had to decide if we still wanted to get legally married, which we eventually did. So once we decided, because I really liked the date, so we decided, okay, we do want to get legally married still. What can that look like? And my officiant from the beginning was like super open with what's allowed. Like, I remember her saying at the beginning of the pandemic, we can have you two, myself, and 2 witnesses all standing 6 feet apart wearing masks. And I'll just come and sign the paperwork. And then eventually by October here in Ontario, things had calmed down, but were kind of starting to ramp up. And so I remember it was like 2 weeks before the wedding, we were going to have, I think, 45 people or 50 people, including like hired help.
Mm-hmm.
And 2 weeks before the wedding, they changed the rules that it had to be 25 people. So then we had to figure out a whole plan.
Yeah.
Which was stressful, but
yeah. I know.
we did
It was literally like, I feel like a month before the wedding, it was like, okay, like you said, okay, now we're down to under 50 people. And then it was literally 2 weeks before the wedding. It's like, okay, now it's 25 people. And it was like every time you kept coming up with a plan, there were new COVID restrictions in place. You had to revise the plan and then revise the plan again. Mm-hmm. So what Teagan ended up doing was having like rotating out her guests pretty much. And I think this is so, I feel like in a few years we'll look back and laugh at this because it's just so crazy. But basically, because if people aren't like following how the wedding industry is being impacted by COVID, we'll give you a little rundown right now. But basically, the actual ceremony, I think it can be like justified as like a religious get together kind of thing. Yes. So therefore the restrictions around it are a lot bigger than just regular outdoor gatherings. So for the actual ceremony, Tag, I think you could have 50 people.
I think you could have or 100 outside.
Okay.
Because like you have rights as a Canadian and one of them is like to religious freedoms.
Okay.
And so they were like, we're not going to mess with that because we're going to get sued.
Yeah. So everybody was there to see them get married, like, walk down the aisle. Everybody signs the paperwork. You kiss your bride and husband. Wow, this is great. Or wife and husband. And then we had to then divide the guests into two people. Sorry, guys, I can't talk. Here we go. Into two groups. So you had like group A and then group B. So group B had to leave after the ceremony. Group A stayed. We had like a little dinner. So Teagan's family friends like catered the thing and we had put together like picnic baskets. So everybody was at their own tables. All the tables were 6 feet apart. People were seated at the tables with their household and their social bubbles. So like it was like a lot of logistics. So Group A got to eat their dinner, and it wasn't technically considered a reception. It was just kind of like
an outdoor gathering.
Yeah, an outdoor like picnic. Literally, it was like a park picnic that everybody else was having in the park while we're having it in your parents' backyard after a wedding ceremony. So then after that, and I will mention we did like our speeches and I think that was kind of it. Then Group A left for the night. Group B came back. They got to eat. We did the speeches and everything again. And then Group B got to stay the rest of the night or however much longer they wanted. But it was still very low key. And like, I don't think you were technically supposed to dance, but we did have like a sound system out and we're like socializing and dancing.
Once people were drinking, then it was like... harder to implement masks and dancing. But by that point, we were down to like, I think 10 people.
I was going to say, maybe not even 10. But... Yeah. And people were wearing their masks, like it was, even though we were outside, like people, if they didn't want to socialize or like dance or whatever, they were just sitting at their tables, and if anybody wanted to go towards them, like it was like mask on, are you okay with this? Like, it was just very, it's kind of like funny when you think back on it. And like, I think my favorite part of that whole story and why I find it so funny is that we were all together for the ceremony, but then to eat dinner, we had to separate everybody into 2 groups. Like, that's just so
it made
stupid.
No logical sense.
It didn't. But you guys found a workaround and it ended up being like this really beautiful wedding. We are going to share pictures on social media the week this episode drops, so definitely check those out because the wedding pictures are beautiful. You'll see the whole backyard just set up. Like Teagan walked down an aisle that was all like bohemian rugs, like colorful rugs. Like it was so cozy. You had this beautiful archway with the most gorgeous flowers that were like Hawaii inspired, telling that love story we just told the listeners about. Like it was absolutely beautiful. But like you said, it was in literally your childhood home backyard. And sorry, go ahead. I'm just like going on and on because I love your wedding so much.
There was just so much like work that went into it, like setting up, because we had planned to have this at a venue that came with a wedding planner with the idea that we would just drop off everything and they'd deal with it. And that clearly was not the case. And so there were like so many things. Like my dad and grandpa, they made our arbor. Our neighbors tore out, we have a huge hedge along our backyard. And we were like, okay, great. That'll be in the back of pictures. Put some lights on it. Our neighbors, without telling us, tore out half of the hedge. So then we had like this huge just blank spot. So my dad and grandpa had to build a fence like the month before the wedding. And my brother had to do all of the gardening because this was during COVID too. So it's not even like you could hire people to help.
Yeah.
Like no one was going anywhere.
And like stores are closed and stuff too. Like it's like.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, and I like for my dress, I had ordered a dress because you have to order a dress, I think 6 months in advance because they're all custom made to you and your measurements. Mm-hmm. So you have to order them far enough in advance that they can come and then you can still get them taken in if you need to. Yeah. So I had ordered a dress and it was supposed to come in like July and it was the end of September and I still hadn't heard.
You bought the dress in January, didn't you?
Yeah.
Like that's like 9 months before it even got in. Never mind, like you're saying, all that time for alterations and stuff.
Yeah. But it was because a lot of the fabric was coming from China, which was like obviously having a pretty severe shutdown. So none of the dressmakers could get the fabric and then so on and so on. So my dress did come in time by like a week. I think or it might have been a couple weeks before. But at that point, I had already bought another dress. Just off Kijiji. I bought someone's dress that they wore to their wedding in like 1970.
Yeah.
And so I haven't worn my actual wedding dress yet. So it's because I was like, now that I had another option, I was like, I don't want it to get ruined. I still want to have like my wow moment at my venue. I still want it to be a surprise for Tyrell. So I'm saving my fancy dress for our actual like reception. But in the meantime, yeah, I bought a dress off Kijiji and the lady said that she was my exact size when she wore it, but she is a liar. I think she actually said she weighed more than me and then it like would not even get close to doing up.
Oh my god.
So I was like, only if your head weighs like 45 pounds. Actually, maybe your head does. I have no idea how much your head weighs.
I don't know either.
It probably weighs like 50 pounds. I don't know. Lots of brains, but
yeah.
So then my grandma had to alter it, which my grandma is like a great seamstress. She like made my mom's bridesmaids dresses for her wedding and stuff. So, and it came with like a see-through kind of shirt moment because it was like spaghetti straps. It was really cute. It kind of had like early 2000s vibes, the dress itself, like someone would wear it to prom in like 2002 because I had little spaghetti straps, but it just did not fit. So what we actually did was we cut it into just a skirt and then I wore the see-through top just with my boobs out.
Yeah.
Because that's on brand.
But it was so cute because all of a sudden now it's like this lacy crop top and this beautiful white full skirt and you're like this like boho but super hip modern bride. Like it just worked so well. Like you would have had no idea that the dress didn't fit before your grandma like did her magic on it.
Yeah. It was kind of like the perfect mix of like retro because like it was obviously from the 70s and he had huge bell sleeves and a high neck, which I feel like is very 70s, but making it cropped made it like seem new because now there are like so many cropped wedding dresses you can get now that are like super hip.
Yeah. So Tegan's grandma did the dress and then Teg, you did basically all the decorations. Like you got a lot of things from Facebook Marketplace and things like that, but there was also a lot of like Tegan learned calligraphy, guys. Like she was dedicated to this. Like she wanted to address her invites and stuff like by writing in calligraphy on them. So she was like dedicated. This girl had goals, she had vision, she did the work to make it all come to life, which I'm so proud of you. But you also had like handwritten signs and stuff. Like it was a lot of work, but it just turned out so beautiful and so personable and like so you guys, like such a cozy, intimate, beautiful wedding. Like absolutely.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, I was thinking about, because obviously, like, I asked Sadie to be my bridesmaid in, like, I think it was May 2019.
Oh my
And
goodness.
here we are, like, I get 2 years later, still planning a wedding.
Yeah.
And I was like, I wonder if Sadie's going to do more work on my wedding or if I'm going to do more work on her wedding eventually. And then I was thinking about it and I was like, no, that girl is going to get me to do calligraphy on every single invite. She's going to invite like 300 people. I'm gonna, I'm not even joking. It took me like 2 hours. I only sent out 30 invites and it took me 2 hours.
Man.
So it's going to be like a full-time job writing out all your invites. And you'll be like, that one doesn't look good, redo.
And I feel so bad because I went to a calligraphy workshop with Teagan and the goal was, you know, for me to learn so that I could help her. But I showed up and I was trying and I was like, nope, this isn't for me. Which is not what your maid of honor should do at all. I was like, sign me up for something different. Just calligraphy, anything artistic, like, no, but other things I feel like I could maybe shine with.
Yeah. One of my favorite pictures from the wedding is that we had like a checklist. We had 2 checklists, of course. One that was like decor that needed to go out, what it was supposed to look like, where it was supposed to go, that kind of stuff. Yeah. And then one that was just like the order of how things are going, what things, because there are so many moving pieces when you're doing it all yourself. Yeah. Like, because we couldn't have a DJ or anything. So it's like, this song has to be played at this time and this person has to go stand over here and this person has to say this and then we switched the song and blah blah blah. Like there's so many moving pieces, so we had another checklist that was just kind of stuff like that. But my favorite pictures, there's one of Sadie in her mask like looking at the checklist like so severely. And I'm like, yeah, that sums it up.
That's where I shine, is I can hold people to a schedule. I can like arrange stuff. I can like set stuff up. I can host a party, but I cannot address the invites. I'm sorry.
Yeah. No, that's okay.
Yeah, but I think that's so true. Like, Teg, you brought up such great points. Like, on top of the decor, you were also putting together, like, your playlist for the night. You had a dinner playlist, you know, a reception playlist for after dinner, all that kind of stuff. So it was a lot without a wedding planner, but I think you guys will see the pictures. It was honestly such a dreamy day.
Yeah, we killed it. It was a little cold, rained a little, but we managed.
So, Tag, actually it did rain a little bit, but you had umbrellas even. Like, these guys were set because we were stuck to outside. Like, indoor gatherings were not a thing. Plus, we were at Tegan's parents' house, so it's like, you can't bring all these guests in the house. Yeah. So you guys even had umbrellas, which were like white and super cute, like literally thought of everything. And the whole night was really, really great. Can you tell our listeners what the plan is for this year? What you're kind of thinking for this October, knowing this is when you have the venue booked and, you know, hopefully you get to wear that beautiful dress that you haven't worn yet.
Yeah. I'm worried because dresses like discolor, like especially like when they're made of like nice material.
Just keep it out of sunlight. It should be okay.
Yeah, it came in like a garment bag and then the garment bag's like in a closet, but I'm still like paranoid. And I was like, I don't know if I should have it like laying down or if I should keep it hanging or if that will damage like the straps. But she said to keep it hanging. Yeah. So
I feel like as long as it's not exposed to sunlight or any type of moisture, it should be okay.
Yeah, so it's at my parents' house right now.
Perfect.
Fingers crossed. Yeah. But yeah, so as far as the next wedding, how lucky I get to have 2 weddings. The wedding that never ends. Basically, we have our date for October that, fingers crossed, we can actually have. But like I said, we want to have dancing. And that's like one of the strictest thing. Like, I don't even know if in green you can have dancing. It might be like dancing with limitations, whatever that means. Like certain things, masks don't bug me that much. I actually think they look kind of cool in pictures because then it's like, imagine telling like your grandkids like, we got married in the play. But so basically we're holding out paused planning until June. And then because around June is when we would have to order our invitations, which is a big spending item. Like it's going to be, $300 or $400. So obviously before we go ahead with that, we want to make sure that the dates on the invitations are the dates that are going to actually happen. So we're paused on planning until June. Supposedly, everyone will have at least their first dose by June of the vaccine. So we should be seeing a significant decrease in COVID if the vaccine is working as it's supposed to. But now you never know. Like, variants are popping up. Literally, who knows? And that's only the first dose of vaccine. So we still don't really know. So, and then at that point in June, we decide whether we want to go ahead, which if that's the case, then we go into like full-blown panic mode because there are so many things we have not done, but we're not going to do. Like, none of the bridal party has outfits. Tyrell doesn't have an outfit, stuff like that. But whatever, we'll figure it out when we get there. Or if we get to June and things are still not looking good, we will just postpone again.
Crazy. And I think too, like, what's so great is like your officiant is amazing, and she's been like that person who's been like, okay, this is how the restrictions impact you, you know, and like your specific ceremony. So I feel like now, especially that this is our second year of this, I feel like if you're in this situation as a bride to be, like, definitely lean on your vendors because they are like tapped into what's going on, because this is obviously their livelihood. And yeah, I think you can definitely count on them for support 100%.
Yeah. Well, it was like our officiant who said to do the staggered dinners. Like, she was like, if you have too many guests, just do 2 over, you know, like a couple hours or over 2 days. Because she, first off, she didn't want to break the laws. Obviously, we didn't want to break the laws either because, you know, we wanted to be responsible. And she didn't want to because she could like lose her license, and it's her job. She doesn't want to look bad.
Yeah.
On top of that, she was like, I want to keep myself safe. So she warned us and was like, if I show up here and things do not look safe, I have the right to refuse unsafe work in Ontario. I am not coming. And I was like, yeah, for sure. But then she actually said that our wedding was the safest wedding she had been to the entire season.
Heck yeah. Badge of honor right there.
I live for that kind of praise. I was like, I'm the best? Okay, great.
I'm the best bride you've ever like met? Is that what I'm taking away from this?
Amazing.
That's so awesome.
Yeah. But she knew, like, literally, and I could email her at any time, and she's like, so these are the rules, here's what we can do, here's what I feel comfortable doing. Yeah. You know, that kind of stuff, because there's so much information, and people are really, like, wrapped up in it. I remember, like, in April, like, at the beginning of COVID, reaching out to someone I followed on Instagram who was also engaged. And I was like, have you decided if you're going to postpone your wedding? And she was like, I obviously have done it because I'm not selfish. And I was like, okay, girl, go off, I guess.
Yeah.
But that is just the tip of the iceberg of, like, people have so much stake and so much emotion wrapped up in, like, weddings.
Yeah.
It brings out the crazy in people sometimes.
Yeah. I was going to ask you, and hopefully this is an okay question to ask, but I feel like people always say your wedding day is supposed to be like the best day of your life, right? Or one of the best days of your life. But I feel people often switch and are like, but when it's actually happening, you realize how you're getting married more so for your friends and family, like for them to come and celebrate your love and like for them to witness it. Did you find that at all? Or were you very much like, this is my day, this is our day? And as a follow-up to that, because I'm going into full-on interviewer mode right now, do you think it will be different for your bigger wedding when you have, you know, your whole guest list there?
Yeah, I feel like I am actually very lucky that I get to have 2 weddings.
Yeah.
Like, I have so much to be grateful for, because not only did, like, our wedding went perfectly, no one got sick, everyone, you know, followed the rules, but it also gave me a chance to kind of do, like, a dress rehearsal. Now, we did legally get married, so that part was real, but at the same time, it's like, if something messed up, or if something, like, you didn't like, you're like, okay, well, we got another one, let's fix it. Like, I know my mom wore flip-flops, and she hated that she wore flip-flops. She wanted to because, like, it was the backyard, super chill, but then she was just like, I actually don't like it. And so she's like, okay, great. Round 2, I'm not wearing flip-flops. I know what I want, because it's so hard. Like, you don't know until you're actually, like, in it.
Yeah.
So, yeah. And so for the next one, I feel like a lot of the pressure is off. Like, I was nervous about, like, walking down the aisle, because I was like, everyone's going to be looking at me. Like, my posture is going to be bad. I'm going to be looking so weird. I'm going to be, like, freaking out. But now I'm like, psh, whatever. Like, my mom doesn't want to, I had both my mom and dad walk me down the aisle, and they're like, we don't want to do that again because we hated it. So I'm just going to walk my damn self down the aisle at the next one. But I'm like, there's, like, no stress about it anymore. Like, I'm just, like, get to have my dress reveal moment and, like, come on out there.
At me.
And for the first wedding, we didn't do a first look because Tyrell and I, we wanted the first time we saw each other to be, like, as we were walking down the aisle. Whereas for the next one, we're going to do a first look, and we're going to do all of our photos before the ceremony, because it's not like the legal ceremony. Mm-hmm. And so, like, our whole bridal party, they don't have to spend the cocktail hour taking, like, staged pictures with us, because that'll already be done in the day. Everyone can just spend the cocktail hour, like, actually having cocktails and having fun. Yeah, everyone's got to do their speeches beforehand. I tried to wing it, and I've learned, do not wing it, write a speech. Yeah. So I'm going to do that.
Oh, good. Yeah. And I think, too, just the fact that your first wedding was just literally your family, like your immediate family, your grandparents, and your closest family friends, it makes it more just about you guys, because, you know, these are people that you're around all the time anyway. There's not that added pressure necessarily of, like, now I have 100 guests watching me, you know? So it was like you said, you're legally married. And you did that, you know, with your closest friends and family there. And now the second one, it's just literally a big party that you get to enjoy. So if it's about, it'll be about you. But even if it's, you know, more like a show for other people, it's like, whatever, you're already married. You already did the deed.
Yep, exactly. I wonder if Tyrell will cry the second time. That's what I'm curious about.
I feel like Tyrell will just be like, here we, like, finally, let's just go. Let's just.
Yeah. That's what he was saying for this one. And then I thought I was going to cry, and I was, like, completely stone-faced.
Yeah.
This is the same when I got engaged. I watch engagement videos and I sob, but when it was me, I was like, oh, okay.
I think, and that was you when you bought your dress too. Like, I think it's just when you're like...
That stressed me out so much. I thought it's the expectation that I'm supposed to have, like, a moment where I'm, like, overcome, and then I don't. So then I feel like I'm, like, letting people down, but...
No, girl, you're not letting people down. I think that's just how you, like, deal with, like, overwhelming emotions. You know? Like, me, I just literally break down crying. Like, if I'm happy, if I'm sad, I cry.
Yeah.
Where you're just, like... chill. Like,
yeah, I don't even think there was, like, a single moment where I was gonna cry. Like, when I got engaged, when my parents hugged me, I, like, felt it because they were crying, and I was like, oh, okay, nice. But, like, the whole wedding, I was just like, okay, we here, where's my drink?
So
it was more like excitement than anything.
Yeah, that's
like, it
good.
wasn't like happy tears. It was just like, hell yeah, let's go.
Yeah. That's so good.
Yeah.
Yay.
But Tyrell cried.
Yeah.
After he said he wouldn't, because he said crying was stupid and it doesn't make any sense. He was like, why do all these men cry? It doesn't, like, what are they even crying about?
Now we know.
It's like, they're crying that they're so lucky. You idiot.
Duh.
And sure enough, he cried.
Oh man, I love that so much. I think my favorite moment from that whole day, and this is just me being selfish and giving my 2 cents right now, but my favorite moment from that whole day, and I'm so glad we have a picture of this, is once you did walk down the aisle, because we literally were like, also like 5 seconds before Teagan was supposed to like go out the door to like walk down the aisle, like her zipper on her dress broke. So they had to like pin her up, and like it was just kind of chaotic. Like the 10 minutes, like all day, it was kind of chaotic, but pretty chill, like putting the final pieces.
Yeah, it was chaotic, but we were like getting stuff done, so it didn't feel
exactly.
bad.
And then like the 10 minutes before the ceremony was supposed to start, Teagan's dress breaks, and it felt a little bit more chaotic because then it's like, oh crap, like people are here, people are waiting, you know? But anyways, we get her dress fixed up. I leave her in the house with her parents, and I like run out to like, I didn't walk down the aisle. I ran out and just like stood at the end of the aisle with Tyrell. And Teagan, obviously, like she said, her parents walked her down the aisle. And I remember before you guys walked down, we were talking about, so what happens when you get at the end of the aisle, you know, like what's supposed to happen. Right. And I was like, I think you're supposed to hug your parents. And then I think one of them is supposed to pull your veil back. And then we just like talked about that. But anyways, Teagan walks down the aisle. She hugs her parents and she gives me her bouquet. But she's like, I'm just going to give you a hug as well. And I was just so like, that was my favorite part of the whole day, because I was just like, girl, you're about to get married. And I was like, just feeling it all. I feel like I was tearing up in that moment. And then there's like, I don't know if I just don't think it's normal for you to hug your maid of honor at the end of the aisle after your parents.
Think so. It felt weird to just be like, hold my bouquet.
Here, bitch. Goodbye. Yeah.
Yeah.
My time to shine.
Exactly.
But I just felt so like proud of you. And I was just like so in my feels in that hug. And we definitely have a picture of it. And I'm like dying laughing because I just was so in love with that moment. Oh, I loved it so much.
Yeah, I definitely did almost cry. I just remembered. There was a part in our ceremony where we read a quote from Fantastic Mr. Fox.
I think we're both glowing.
Do another toast, Dad.
Okay, let's see. Yeah, right. Okay. They say all foxes are slightly allergic to linoleum, but it's cool to the paw. Try it. They say my tail needs to be dry cleaned twice a month, but now it's fully detachable, see? They say our tree may never grow back, but one day something will. Yes, these crackles are made of synthetic goose, and these giblets come from artificial squab, and even these apples look fake. But at least they've got stars on them. I guess my point is, we'll eat tonight, and we'll eat together, and even in this not particularly flattering light, you are without a doubt the 5.5 most wonderful wild animals I've ever met in my life. So let's raise our boxes to our survival.
It was just so perfect for like COVID and everything.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, so cute. But the rest of the ceremony, Tyrell was talking to me about random stuff. And I was like, shh, we can talk about it later. He was like, yeah, the hotel room's not that good. I stubbed my toe today. And I'm like, shh, honey, no.
We have to listen right now.
Yeah. It's because we were apart for like 12 hours. And he was like, so much stuff has happened. You won't believe it. And then like my aunt was like, oh my God, what was he saying up there? Like thinking it would be like, you're so beautiful. But no. He was like, so I stubbed my toe this morning and it really hurts still. I was like, okay, we'll deal with that after this.
I think he was just trying to distract himself from not crying more than he already was.
Yeah. It is weird because you're standing up in front of everyone. It's like the moment when people are singing happy birthday to you.
Yeah.
And you're just like,
I don't know what to do.
Here I am. I'm the center of attention.
Yeah.
That was us, except it goes on for like 20 minutes where you're just like standing there and you're looking at each other and you want to smile because you want to look good in the pictures. But like, it's weird.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
That's so...
What a day.
Yeah. Oh, I love, though, reliving that. Like... This is exactly what I needed right now. Just like a little bit of joy again. So good.
Yeah. I have like a highlight of it on my Instagram and I watch my highlight like nonstop. Okay. I didn't post that much because I obviously didn't have my phone, but I like reposted everyone's stories of me. Yeah. And now it's like once a month I click through and I'm like, oh, we got married.
Yeah, I definitely need to start doing that. Just like watching your highlight of it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because this is this is making me so happy right now.
It's just so funny because there's so much buildup. Like there's so much that goes into a wedding.
Yeah.
And so there's like 70,000 Instagram stories of us like prepping stuff and working together to do stuff, especially like once we decided, okay, this is happening, it's in the backyard. We only had like 2 months to do it. So we had to figure out like food, beverages. So we were doing like wine tastings on Sunday nights because we were like, we have no other options right now. But
oh man,
yeah.
so good. So good.
Yeah.
And it's chaotic
It's fun,
in the
though.
time. Yeah, but it's so fun to like look back on and be like, wow, we did that. Like you pulled off that entire wedding, like you said, with 2 months planning of doing literally everything. So that is amazing.
Yeah. I feel like this is why, like, it's so important to pick people you like for your bridal party, because there's so much, I feel like, politics around it. Like, well, they invited me to be their bridesmaid, so now, but it's like, no, these are the people who are there for you when you need to get stuff done. So, like, pick it wisely. And I think I did.
Yeah, 100%. I think you did too. And I love that view. Like, it shouldn't be like, you owe somebody something, therefore they're going to be your bridesmaid. Like you said, like it's literally like, listen, you are my bitches for the next year of wedding planning. We have shit
2 to 3 years
do.
if it's my wedding.
Yeah, we have shit to do. Let's get down to business. But Teg, I think that's a great transition because I did want to talk about for any listeners, especially in your 20s, I feel everybody reaches a point in their 20s where all of a sudden all their friends are getting married. And there's like bound to be a point in your 20s where you're a bridesmaid or just one of your really great friends is getting married and you're like involved somehow. And it's just like, especially if you've never been a bridesmaid or you've never gone to a wedding before, it's like, what am I supposed to do? How am I supposed to help you? Like, I have no idea how to be a bridesmaid. And like we were saying, there's resources similar to, you know, checklists for brides. There's like checklists for maid of honors, checklists for bridesmaids, all available on like Pinterest and whatever else. I'm sure probably in these bridal magazines as well. But Teg, I thought we could just kind of give a quick overview of what it's like to be a bridesmaid / maid of honor.
Sure.
Yeah. So I'll speak from the maid of honor perspective. You speak from the bride perspective,
I'll be like,
and we will
that's
tackle
wrong.
this. Yeah. I do feel like I could have been a better maid of honor, but it's just so hard because it's like with things changing so much. This is
I don't think you could have been any better. I don't
really
like to give context for people who weren't there. Sadie, like the end of the night, everyone was like the most drunk I've ever seen people, probably in the entire world. And Sadie was going around dancing to the music. She had ordered everyone pizza, which was like a feat because like where this happened, there's no Uber Eats. You have to like call people and organize stuff. Yeah. So she got pizza for everyone. And then she was going around and dancing and slipping napkins into people's hands, like unsuspectedly. And they would like look down and be like, I just got a bunch of napkins in my hand, and it would be like Sadie dancing along to like Ignition remix, putting just napkins in people's hands.
Okay, actually, I was also very drunk. One of those drunkest people alive. I also remember, and I totally forgot, I ordered pizza / gave everybody napkins. This is the funniest thing, and if anybody's ever gone to the bar with me, they're not going to be surprised what I did next. So after everybody ate pizza, when I'm drinking a lot, I constantly need to be chewing gum because I just have the worst taste in my mouth from like alcohol, whatever. So after everybody ate pizza and cleaned themselves up with those napkins I handed out, I went around and handed out gum to everybody. I was like, does anybody want gum? Does anybody want gum? And I'm 100% that girl in the nightclub as well. Even if I like don't know you, I'm like, oh, would you like gum? Or in the bathroom just handing out gum to all the girls. Okay, well, so I'm glad I was a good maid of honor. I feel like leading up to it, like I definitely feel like I could have been more helpful, but it was just so hard because things were constantly changing. You know, you had to kind of make snap decisions, and it was just we couldn't really be together a lot because we weren't seeing each other in person all that much. Like, it was a very interesting, tough time. I'm hoping this coming wedding, once it's go mode, I'll just live at your house and help you with literally whatever you need done. But all of this is to say, guys, if you are a maid of honor especially, but even if you're a bridesmaid, your number one task is to help the bride and do whatever the bride needs you to do. So if it's, you know, like I feel it's typical to go to dress shopping appointments with her. Like, you know, that's typical, like helping her make decisions like that, but it might also be like doing other errands, you know, like maybe it's, hey Sadie, I found like signs on Facebook Marketplace that are closer to your house, you know, like whatever it is, helping the bride just run errands, tackling all those tasks on her to-do list leading up to the day. That is your number one priority. And then as especially maid of honor, but I think too as any member of a bridal party, like Teagan was saying, the day of, like you kind of just need to make sure things go smoothly and you're like a point of contact if things aren't going smoothly. So you know, Duncan was the best man. He had the rings. He was, you know, that was like his job, and it was like, hey, you are in charge of the rings. And then I had, like Teagan said, I had printouts of literally the script. So if somebody like needed a script or if somebody was offline, I could literally just stand up and take over and like read the script word for word. If like worst case scenario and that was necessary, I could do that. But it's also like I then had the time, so I knew, okay, are we running ahead of schedule or behind schedule? Especially when we had two groups, like timing was like pretty important. So it's just like, you know, helping as much as you can ahead of the day, but also helping as much as you can on the day. That is your number one task, pretty much.
I think past that point, like once the wedding is like prepped and planned, it's then just like being chill, being fun, like literally what we did like the morning of, where we were just like blasting music, we were like drinking rosé, and like the same thing once the reception starts. I feel like once the speeches are done, that it's like the bridesmaids' duty to like get the party started.
Totally. Yeah. And even that's it 100%. And I wanted to say that and I totally forgot until you were speaking. It's like you're literally the hype man of like the bride, but also obviously we've already established that Tyrell and I are best friends, but like just like for the whole bridal party, like if you can be that like hype man, just be that hype man 100%. And take that energy into like the day of the ceremony as well. Get everybody else like, first of all, just make them feel welcomed, you know, and like especially at like larger weddings, I feel a lot of people come but they don't know everybody, so it's just like being that friendly face. And like you said, if anybody has any issues or any questions, they can come to you and you can help them figure it out. But then just help get that party going. And Tag, you know, I'm definitely there to do that all over again.
For sure.
Hand out pizza, napkins, and gum to everybody.
At least at this next one, you'll be so relaxed because like they set up the decor. We've got a late night pizza bar. Like you're just in charge of dancing. True. But it is like, I feel like a lot of people, maybe younger people, don't realize how much work it is to be a bridesmaid. So like if you get asked to be a bridesmaid, it is 100% fine to say like I can't do it, whether it's financial or it's just like I'm in school, I don't have time. True. Like it is not a faux pas to say no, because that's why they ask you. They're not just like, so you're my bridesmaid. Like typically you formally ask someone, and I know like I asked Sadie in a card because you have the right to say no, and if it's like too much, it's too much.
Because it is, and you're literally committing to prioritizing this person, like Teagan or the bride, when she needs it. You know what I mean? Like, it's very much, you can't be a selfish person and then go into this, because that's where the drama is going to kind of come up, you know, where you're like, oh, sorry, Tag, like, I'm actually not able to go to this dress shopping appointment because of this, you know? And it's like, no, like you signed up. This is what you agreed to. So I think that's so true. And also on the financial side of things too, like I think that's a huge thing, like buying your own dress. And another thing we didn't even touch on is like a bachelorette party, wedding shower. Usually it's the bridal party that arranges that sort of thing for the bride. We skipped all that just because we couldn't have, first of all, we wanted the bachelorette in Nashville, so we obviously couldn't be traveling during COVID. And then even a bridal shower, like we couldn't have like groups forming. So we also unfortunately had to forego that last year. But hopefully if things kind of swing back around later this year, we can have all those types of parties and stuff leading up to the second wedding. But it's all, a big financial and time commitment for sure.
Yeah. And I feel like it depends on the person who's the bride. So, like, if you're being asked, like, some brides have the expectation, if you're going to be my bridesmaid, you're going to buy the dress I tell you, and you're going to get your hair done how I tell you, and you're going to get your makeup done how I tell you, and you're going to pay for it. Like, so it's like you know the person if they're asking you. So it's like you need to think about these things before you say yes.
This is Tegan saying she will never be my bridesmaid.
I feel like you would.
Tegan's like, that. I know.
I don't know.
No.
Maybe. No.
I don't think I would do that, no. I do think I'd have vision, but I don't think I'd be, like, mean about it, being like, you must do things my way.
Yeah, but it's pretty normal for brides to be like, we're all getting our hair done the same, we're all getting our makeup, blah, blah, blah. So,
yeah,
get ready for it.
That's bizarre. Tegan was not like that at all.
No.
Tegan obviously was, like, a very chill bride.
Some of the stuff I like, as far as, like, dresses, I was like, here's the color, and then get whatever dress you want. Like, if you see one at, a thrift store, go for it. But I told Tyrell that, and he was like, well, did you coordinate the colors to make sure they'd match? And I was like, nah, they'll figure it out. And he was like, they're not gonna figure it out. And I was like, yeah, they probably will. And then we didn't even have a wedding, so it all worked out.
Actually, yeah, that's true. But we were figuring it out. I remember Chloe, Tyrell's sister, like, mailed a color swatch of the dress she wanted to me so I could make sure it matched the dress I had already bought. Like, we did have it figured out, Tyrell. Okay.
A plan. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh,
yeah.
Goodness.
No.
Is there any final advice you want to give to, like, brides to be, or just, like, people in relationships who are thinking about marriage? Any final advice?
I just feel like with weddings, they are 100% what you want them to be. And so be sure on your decisions. If you make a decision, stick by it, because people will 100% try to influence you. Like, when we picked our date, people were not happy that it was on a long weekend. And we were like, well, it's our date, and we picked it.
If you don't want it, don't
deal
come.
with it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so as long as you are ready to kind of, like, stick to your guns, know what you want, and then you can make it as much as you want. So if you don't care, like, you don't care what your bridesmaids wear, you don't care, what the DJ plays, you don't care if there's favors, then don't worry about it, because honestly, wedding guests don't pay attention and don't care. Like, if you don't want to deal with renting chairs, don't rent chairs, because no one notices. Like, it's literally, you can put in as much effort as you want. And if you want to put in no effort, hire a wedding planner and be like, here's my Pinterest board, here's my budget.
Yeah.
Good luck.
Oh, yeah. You should probably provide your budget. That's a good idea.
Yeah. But it's literally just whatever you want. You can make it as big or as small as you want, because especially now, thanks to COVID, there used to be a lot of really strict etiquette around weddings. Like, it was like, you can only invite people to your engagement party that will be invited to your wedding, and you can only invite these people, blah, 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 blah. A lot of these rules are getting shifted so rapidly because of COVID. So we're at, like, a really exciting time as far as wedding goes, where you can kind of do whatever you want. Like, if you want no one there, go ahead. If you want to live stream it because you don't want to see people in person, go ahead. Like, literally, whatever you want.
I'm hyped. I'm just ready to go look at your wedding highlights on Instagram.
Yeah, it'll get you pumped up.
Yeah, I should make sure mine's up to date. I'm sure it is, because I definitely
I've gone through yours before too.
Yeah, okay, because I definitely have a highlight just for you guys.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's creepy, but I just really am obsessed with you guys.
I think it's cute.
And it's just TNT. Like, it's not like Tegan, like, it's like something cute. Rather than, like, I think it's I'm obsessed fun. With my best friend.
We put in effort to try and make things Instagrammable.
True. Yeah.
So the payoff.
Yeah.
It's got to stay up for a while.
Yeah. Okay.
I look at my hashtag, too. I have a hashtag, and I scroll through.
Oh,
and look at the pictures there.
Yeah. So, guys, all this is to say that this podcast just makes Tegan and I come up with a million business ideas. Before it was that we're going to have, I think it was, like, a vintage houseware line, like, where we're just going to sell vintage stuff. Now we're also our Golden 20s wedding planners. So
I think we would kill it as wedding planners.
We actually would. Yeah. Like,
yeah.
Tegan can obviously do, like, so much wedding planning because she's planned her own wedding like 14 times. I'm all about the Pinterest life. Can definitely mood board your color schemes, mood board the, vibes.
Yeah, and I feel like if people were trying to like push like the couple around, we'd be like, no.
Yeah.
We're the wedding planners. We're in charge.
Okay. Tag, honestly, why aren't we doing that?
Yeah, we would be really good.
Yeah.
Actually, wedding planners make an insane amount of money.
Yeah.
I think let's take this offline.
Okay.
No, just kidding.
You're kidding? Because I'm not.
Oh, yeah. Or Golden 20s wedding planning.
I feel like we'll have our Golden 20s, the podcast, and like our golden wedding. I don't know. Ooh. That's kind of cute.
Oh my God. And I can see the logo. It would be like 2 little cartoon rings instead of the champagne glasses. Oh my God.
Okay, it's happening.
So good.
So stay tuned.
It's official.
Yeah, if you listen to this podcast episode, you will be remarketed with our new Instagram account.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh my goodness. Okay.
Oh God. You're gonna be like the girl in 27 Dresses who like isn't that she just gets asked to be the maid of honor at like everyone's wedding because she's so good at planning it.
Yeah. You know what? That could be us. So I've only had 2 friends get married, and I have been the maid of honor for both of those friends. So I'm like definitely on that track. But I feel like
always the bridesmaid.
Yeah.
The bride.
Yeah. Wow. That might be me. I don't know if I have 27 friends, and I sure as hell better get married someday. But
yeah.
But this is like a theme that I hope keeps going. So we'll see.
Wow.
Yeah.
All right.
Anyways, speaking of where you can find us on social media, or where you should follow us on social media until our golden wedding is up and running. In the meantime, you can find us on Instagram, TikTok, Pinterest, Facebook at Our Golden 20s. We are also on Spotify. Drop in awesome playlists. We'll mix in some big booty mixes. We are also on Patreon. So please, if you listen to our podcast every week, we love you. We appreciate you. And we would love for you guys to join our Patreon community. We have a $2, $6, and $10 tier, but it is your way of giving back to the podcast. So definitely check that out. We also have exclusive content on there and drop our podcast episodes early every single week, so you can be the first to hear it. So thank you guys so much for listening. Another week in the books, and we will see you next Tuesday.
Bye.